She can't, okay.
Cannot hear us.
Let's see here.
You want to figure that out before we go live?
Well, his speaker,
Yeah,
his speaker,
possibly.
his speaker's
See,
muted.
so he can't hear us.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
And I can hear you now.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Yep.
All right, it is 6 o'clock. I will call this regular meeting of the Rockridge School Board to order. Anybody with a phone, if you can shut it to off or silent. And there's a binder labeled public copy of board materials at the front of the room. Meeting agendas are also available. The public may access those agendas by visiting rrps.org, district information tab, school board tab, and then board book. This time I invite everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This time I will take roll call. Director Reardon. Director Tamaro.
Here.
Director Schoberg.
Here.
Director Dahl. Here. Director Yuhan.
Here.
Director Addy.
Here.
And Director Sundquist. We have 7, and Director Sorkin is not present.
And Director Lotiger.
And Director Lotiger. Oh, yes. Kids' sporting activities. All right, at this time, we will seat the newly elected directors, and I invite both of you to stand. It is an honor that you were appointed to guide the education of our community's children. As you recite the oath of office, you assume a tremendous responsibility as director of our school district with the duties empowered by the Minnesota legislature. The power puts you and the other members of our school board in the position of being both morally and legally responsible for equitable, quality education of every student in the district. In carrying out this responsibility, you will be asked to fulfill the roles of vision, structure, accountability, and advocacy. In providing vision, the board, with extensive participation of the community, envisions the community's educational future and then formulates the goals, defines the outcomes, and sets the course for the public schools. To achieve the vision, the board establishes a structure and creates an environment designed to ensure all students the opportunity to attain their maximum potential through a sound organizational framework. Because as a board, we must be accountable to the community, we must ensure continuous assessment of student achievement and all conditions affecting the education of our children. As board members, we serve as education's key advocate on behalf of our students and community schools to advance the vision for our schools. Furthermore, we must strive to work together and with the superintendent and staff to lead the district toward fulfilling the vision we have created, fostering excellence for every student in the areas of academic skills and knowledge, citizenship, and personal development. Having signed the acceptance of oath of office, will you please publicly affirm your commitment by repeating the oath of office after me? I swear or affirm
I swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of this state.
that I will support the Constitution of this state, sorry,
And the United States.
and the United States.
And that I will discharge faithfully
And I will discharge faithfully
the duties of the office of school board
the duties of the office of school board
of Independent School District
of Independent School District
number 2909
number 2909
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and abilities.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented or move for an amendment.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion, we approve the agenda as presented.
So there's a motion by Director Reardon, and was that support by Director Schoberg? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried unanimously. Agenda item number 4 is presentation of truth and taxation information.
Good evening, everybody. Can you still hear me?
We can.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to try to share my screen here. Can all of you see the PowerPoint presentation?
We can.
Yes.
Okay. Well, you're probably wondering why I'm sitting here at the boardroom at the old Virginia High School. When we sent out the truth and taxation notices that went on taxpayers, it was listed that the board meeting would be here at this building. And when we had to change it because of the choir concert, we thought it would be best to keep this here since it was out there on the notices, even though you guys are there. So we're going to try to do this live stream and it should work out well. I currently have nobody in this room with me, but if anybody comes in, I'll let you know. It's open and there's signs out in the building to direct people here if they'd like to be present here. So I'll get started. Today's agenda is the property tax levy timeline. Just a quick overview of the 21-22 budget, which is the current year. The 22 proposed property tax levy, which these dollars are used for the 22-23 school year or next school year. And then if you have any questions after. First is the timeline. In September, the board adopted the proposed levy, and we do that at maximum at that time. And then this is when you actually adopt the final numbers. In November, the county auditor mailed out all the notices. Tonight's the truth and taxation public meeting, and the school board will certify the final paid 22 levy. Over the course of 2022, the county auditor collects the property taxes, and then that revenue is given to the school districts to be used in the 22-23 school year. The amount of dollars we're talking compared to the total district budget is about last year or this current school year, it was $3.8 million levy compared to $51.8 million in revenue. So it's about 7.5% of the district's revenue is this levy that we're talking about tonight, just to give you kind of a broad overview of how much we're talking of the total budget. This first slide is just a by fund look at the 21-22 adopted budget. This was, of course, adopted by the school board back in June. The top one, funds 1, 3, and 5, the general fund at just over $36.5 million in revenues. All funds at $51.8 million. Oops. And then expenditures, again, just over 36 million in Fund 1, 3, and 5, and just over 51 million in all funds. Just as a side note, just remember the overall budget in the general fund is pretty much balanced. It's $15,000 to the positive, but that was with using about $1.99 million of ESSER funds to help bridge that funding gap this year. The next slide here shows the levy comparisons, the 3.8 million that we currently have as a levy, and the proposed levy for 22 at 4.2 million. That's an increase of 348,000 or 9.03%. And we'll explain where that increase is in just a second. This next slide is kind of unique to our situation at Rock Ridge. Because we consolidated both the old Virginia ISD and the old Evelyn Gilbert ISD, brought in some debt in both building debt and OPEB debt. So those stay within the old property limits. And this is just showing, we tried to structure everything to make sure it was equal when we did the building bonds several years ago. And you can see a residential homestead of 75,000 in each district. It's $1 difference in the annual school portion of taxes. And you can see how that is different in the different market value. So it's very close to being the same in both, even though we can't spread everything even because of the old, because of the state law in the old districts. This next slide just shows like-sized local school districts and where our overall proposed levy compares to their overall proposed levy. This is comparing Hermantown, Hibbing, Cloquet, and Grand Rapids to our district, Rock Ridge. You can see we are the second lowest in overall levy. And then the next slide shows the next 4 closest statewide districts to us as far as number of students, ADM. And you can see we're substantially lower than those districts statewide in what our levy is to our taxpayers. The next section of the levy, this is the revenue that you get both local levy and state aid. So the board has the right to under levy different areas within the levy. If the board ever decided to under levy any of these categories, you would also say, we don't want that portion of the revenue as well. So if anybody asks for recommendations, I wouldn't under levy any of these ones because it takes away our revenue in those places as well. So this is comparing last year to this year and some of the reasons for the change. The big reason is adjustments to the levy happen when actual ADM are known, which affects the current levy. Remember, for this levy, we are estimating the number of students we'll have at the end of June 2023. So that's, a year and a half out from when we start looking at this. So levy adjustments happen when actual numbers come in. Also, state equalization calculations changes. That's how much is between levy and aid. And our debt payment schedules change year after year. And we had additional CTE level classes, career and tech ed classes that qualified for aid this year and levy. So that's why there's a slight increase in that. The next area of levy, these are categories that are just local levy. There's no state aid attached to these. So again, if you ever wanted to under levy an area, this would be a spot that you could look at. The changes in this area are reemployment insurance. This was a decrease from last year. We'd had a larger estimate last year based on COVID, and we didn't end up having to spend all those dollars. Most of reemployment insurance didn't end up coming all the way down to the school districts. Health benefits levy decrease. These are the pre-1998 retirees that qualify for this levy. And those costs changed actual, plus we changed the estimate on those as well. The bond debt schedule for OPEB, there was a slight decrease. And then the last one, the increase, is for the judgment levy. And this was the judgment with ERATs to vacate the Spectrum building. These do have to be approved by Department of Education if you do have judgments against the school. And these were approved through the Department of Ed to be placed onto the levy. And then the final area is the taconite production credits. These are, we qualify for taconite credits, which reduces our taxpayer obligation. This is not additional revenue for the district. It replaces revenue that would have been collected from property owners. So really it's a benefit to our property owners in the area to lower their taxes. It's based on the local mine's prior 3 years of taconite production. So when taconite revenue decreases, the local taxpayer portion of the levy increases. And that's what happened in this case this year. As we all know, many of the mines were shut down for part of the year during the COVID. And so it decreased that amount, which increased the levy. This page here is all of those categories combined. So you can see the bottom line on the bottom, increase of 348,000 or 9% overall. So then if you have any questions or comments, the recommendation would be to approve the pay 22 levy at $4,207,275.
Any questions for Spencer? Does anyone want to make a motion to certify the levy?
I'll make that motion.
I'll support.
Motion by Director Chamorro, support by Director Yuhan. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
Spencer?
Thanks,
Thanks,
Ben.
Spencer.
Spent.
Thank
And
you.
just to confirm, no one else has shown up, have they?
Nobody is here, no.
Thank you. At this point, we'll have recognition and visitor comment, and I would invite Murray Anderson to say a few words.
Dear board members and citizens of Rockridge Public Schools, I would like to say thank you for the opportunity to address you this evening. Many, many exciting things have happened these past 5 years. Bond issues, collaboration and consolidation votes, new buildings being built, merging of contracts still ongoing, merging of activities, the beginning of new curriculum, business involvement, Rockridge Rising fundraising, and the new changes every day. All these happened while a small vocal group said it couldn't or shouldn't be done, but it did, and our future is exciting. There are problems and challenges still ahead, but nothing that sound minds with knowledge and cooperation cannot overcome. Never lose sight of what is best for all of us as students. This has never been a job. I never considered it a right to be on this board, but a privilege, a distinct privilege. It has been a privilege to serve on this board with its esteemed members, to serve the students that make up our student body, to serve the citizens and families within the boundaries of our RPS, to serve with the best teaching para-technology staff that I have personally been involved with, to serve distinct privilege to serve with the administrators, secretaries, custodians, ground people, bus drivers, and anyone else I may have forgotten. As I closed, I would like to say a couple big thank yous, excuse me, to my wife and family for their support and understanding, to Dr. Schmidt for his help and leadership, and to Miss Stacy Lampa for all her help and understanding. I have been here long enough, but I would like to leave you with this bit of advice that popped up on my Facebook in the last few days. Don't listen to criticism from someone you would not seek advice from. God bless you all. Happy holidays, and thank you.
Just want to say thank you back to you, Murray. It has been a pleasure to have you as part of our board. You have worked tirelessly on behalf of the students and the community, and to recognize that dedication that you served with.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
As for the agenda item number 6 is the consent agenda. And before I ask for a motion to approve it or amend, I would just like to note that there were 6.10, so I had to remove, there was approval of winter coaches. Jack Gritzmacher, Katie Rigstead, and Jason Ness had already been approved for hire, so I would amend that we don't need to approve them. And just to note that the amount for Jack Gritzmacher on the spreadsheet is incorrect. It should have been $1,614. And the board had already approved that stipend. So with that, those corrections, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda or amend it.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Motion by Director Addy. Is there support?
Second, Burden.
Any further discussion?
I don't know if it's, I'm always weird on this consent agenda, if you can ask questions or if you can't, and I'm not, it just, a couple things to point out on 6.10. I guess I asked the same question in the fall and was told that the discrepancy between the respective coaches of the former Evelyn, Gilbert, and Virginia would be equalized once the new contract was settled. And just for clarification of that, and I see Noel nodding yes on that. And the other question I had is there were several names that were on there twice for 2 paid positions. And I guess in pointing that out, and I don't know, I didn't have time to call and ask for an explanation for that, today when I was going through the agenda.
Is that, I don't know.
If somebody is inadvertently listed twice, you can't do the same job two times. We'll just remove them. You're just simply approving one job. But if there's a duplicate name, we'll remove them if it's an edit.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item number 7, we have reports, and 7.1 is Mr. Sprout.
Good evening, Rockridge School Board. Thank you for this opportunity. I know you have a busy schedule in front of you, but I'll do my best to keep us moving along. Welcome and thank you to the new school board members. I appreciate it. Not the easiest job in the world, but absolutely one of the most rewarding is what I keep hearing everybody say. So thank you for being willing to work so hard for our district. I have a really fun night of fundraising to report on. Hopefully you've had a chance to look through that. And if my math is serving me well, I believe I'll be presenting something in the area of $135,550 tonight. So I want to say thank you to all of these people that I'm going to run down, and thank you to everybody that's been giving to our Rock Ridge Rising Fund. It is doing amazing things on our new campus, and it is going to provide, you know, these enrichments and enhancements and allow us to go above and beyond what we would have ever been able to do. So this $135,550 tonight will get us in the area of course, there's still money that we're still collecting everything, but this will put us at $1,724,785 that we've raised for our Rock Ridge Rising campaign. So there are great people in this school district. There are great people in our alumni ranks, and I wanted to take a little extra time tonight to talk about it a little bit, as I am doing, and just say thank you to them. And we really appreciate it. And I think that everybody's going to be incredibly proud of what the final outcome that happens on this new campus is going to be. So thank you to everybody who has given, is still planning on giving, and if you are considering to give, get a hold of me and I can help you with that. Now, so thank you to everybody. I just want to talk about these real quick tonight. You'll see them. I won't be going in your order. I have an order here. A special thank you to Corey Groves for his 250 for the Dallas Franzen Music Lab. Mike, Mark, and Mitch Mewich in memory of Dave Hendrickson, longtime teacher and hockey coach at Virginia Public Schools. Thank you for their $150. John and Susie Pearsall, their second donation of $100 we received. A really nice donation, a cute donation from Jenny Whitty, MCOT and family in honor and in memory of Kersey. Thank you for their $100. We received an anonymous $500. Then I have one that I want to read to you from Greg and Jane Gilness, great people. And this is what's really rewarding about this job, is this opportunity to donate to our schools really hits home with a lot of people, and this is an example. To Rock Ridge School System from Greg and Jane Gilness, we would like to make a contribution to the Rock Ridge Schools as a memorial to our parents, Daryl and Janine Gilness and Vern and Lena Ojanpa. As a family, we have close ties to both the Evelyn and Virginia schools, and our parents value the excellent education they received from these two schools. We wish to make a $1,000 donation to the new Rock Ridge Schools, broken down as follows. $500 to the industrial arts programs. Our parents were always proud of the training they received in their high school's industrial arts programs, saying this exposure helped them later in life as homeowners. $250 to the various music programs. Our parents were very proud of their school's music programs and the entertainment they provided. $250 to the swimming pool scoreboard. This is in honor of Vern Ojanpa. Vern was a 1938 swimming champion in the 100-yard breaststroke for the Evelyn Golden Bears. 1938, in case you didn't hear that, it's a great story. He went on to swim for the University of Minnesota, and in 1945, he won the Big Ten championship in the 200-yard breaststroke. Also that year, he came in third place in the NCAA Nationals and was named an All-American on the first ever NCAA All-American swim team. We appreciate the efforts put forth by so many to create a first-class education system that will give our young students the opportunity to succeed in life. Greg Gilness and Jane Gilness. So it was so much fun talking to Greg about this, and you could see the pride exuding from him to be able to tell this story and to give money to help. And I just love the history of both districts, so I thoroughly enjoyed it. So thank you to Greg and Jane Gilness for their $1,000 donation. Bill Welch just recently gave, thank you, Bill, $2,000 to our robotics program.
I'm sorry. With Krause Anderson, just so you guys know, if you don't not to close the gate tonight, we've got painters in until midnight. So I didn't know if anybody told you guys, but I just wanted to make sure our painters didn't get locked in.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you much. Have a good night, guys.
You too. So again, thanks to Bill Welch, a Gilbert graduate, a $2,000 donation to our robotics program. And also thank you to Bill Welch for half of the $15,000 to name the Clean Manufacturing Lab. He and his brother will be doing this. The other $7,500 will be coming from his brother Joe. So thank you, Bill Welch. We received the first installment. Thank you to SEPI, the SEPI Brothers Concrete Company. We appreciate them so much. They gave us the first $33,000, first of 3 payments for the varsity softball field naming rights. There will be $100,000 coming in from them. Thank you to Frank Hagee for his $100 donation, which is the second time Frank has given. Many of you might remember Coach Hagee. This would be his son. Frank and I went to high school together. Coach Hagee was a longtime football coach at Virginia. Dr. Cameron and Ruth Jason, their donation of $5,000. Thank you for the Bill Lovato Music Learning Lab. There was a nice collaboration of 3 people to give for the Bill Lovato Music Learning Lab. So thank you, Dr. Cameron and Ruth Jason. And a special thank you to Dr. Cameron Jason for all of his help in coordinating that. And you'll remember that he also helped coordinate the VFW donation of $15,000. And he has another donation that I'm speaking to a family about to help that. So thank you to Dr. Cameron Jason. Benny Deutsch and Steve Gentilini, graduates of Virginia. They graduated with Tom Baldrica. Thank you for their $5,000 each to name a music learning lab after the Baldrica family. And there was an anonymous $75,000 recently given. So thank you. Thank you for that. It's an incredible amount of money. And there will be a second half of that coming, which will end up to total $100,000 at the end of it when the 25 comes in. And special thank you to Murray Anderson. I'm glad that you're here, Murray, for your $850 donation to get the goalpost pads switched over to Rock Ridge, Murray. So thank you for that. And obviously your previous donations, you and Kay. So I just wanted to share those wonderful things that are happening in the world of fundraising and thank everybody who has given. And if you guys hear of anybody, make sure you steer them my way because there's great things happening at Rock Ridge Public Schools. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Millie.
Thank you.
It's always nice to hear about all the money that comes in, but it's nice too to hear some of those stories and the connections. And we really have a legacy of education here on the range. I'm happy to continue that. Agenda item 7.2 was Scott Manny, but I don't see him here, so. And he wasn't going to appear. Okay. So we will move on to 7.3, building and grounds update with Jeff Perry.
Good try. All right, I got a few things I just want to give you guys updates on. We're not asking you to act on anything tonight that I'm up here talking about. I'll pause after each ones if you have any questions, and we'll go from there. So the first one up is the legal process for closing schools. Many from the old Evelyn Gilbert board might remember, we had to go through this process when we closed the old junior high and the manual arts building, but there are statutory requirements if you're going to sell or demolish a school building. You have to hold a public hearing to officially close that building for school purposes. So on January 10th, which I believe is the first school board meeting of the new school year, or the new year, at 5 o'clock, we are planning on having the first of those hearings on the Roosevelt, and then at 5:30 we're going to have one on the Gilbert campus. So basically what it is I will have a presentation made, and I'll give a presentation on the reasons why we are closing those buildings for school purposes. We have to give the public an opportunity to, and after that meeting, Dr. Schmidt and I will go back and compile any information that we may receive from the public, as well as our own reasons. And then the following school board meeting, which is 2 weeks from then in January, don't remember the date offhand, you will pass a resolution to close that school building, and then it's done. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. So I have the presentation done for Roosevelt. I will share that with you in the morning, and the Gilbert one won't be too much different other than some obvious things. So next up, I want to talk about the demo process for the Roosevelt building. Just so you know what we're up to. So sometime between tomorrow and the next 2 weeks, we're going to move the business office out of the Roosevelt, and they're going to be in this back quadrant in this building for the time being. And once Krause Anderson moves out of this space, we will move them permanently into this space here behind those doors. So that's we have that all cleaned out back there. They're just Spencer's going through the audit, and a little busy right now, so I'm not pushing them too hard, but sometime in the next few weeks we'll get the last day of school for students at Roosevelt is June 3rd. We have promised Krause Anderson that we would be out of that building by June 10th, which is that Friday. Obviously, we aren't going to move everything out in 3-4 days. We are starting to move things now. We purchased boxes and tape for all the staff to start packing up stuff that they currently aren't using, and we'll be moving that over to the Franklin in stages. Our first stage will be over Christmas break, where it'll be the first move, and then every month afterwards we'll have one day where getting stuff moved. And we're encouraging people to move stuff that they aren't using right now, so that we don't rush. And we have it pretty well mapped out, and I think it'll do pretty well. The reason that for that tight timeline though is we want to make sure is on June 13th, that following Monday, they're going to start abating the Roosevelt, which means they're going to be taking the asbestos out. It's about a 3 to 4 week process. At which time on about July 11th or so, we'll start actually tearing that building down. Another 12 weeks. And probably middle of August, start the groundwork. And officially on September 1st for the North Star. So tight timeline on this one, but I think we are prepared, and I feel pretty confident that it should go pretty well.
I have one question. So when you take the teacher stuff out and move it to Franklin, do you have are you going to keep all that track of all that stuff? You've got.
We bought them labels, so all of their stuff, they need to put a sticker on it, so it says whose it is and where it's going.
Okay.
So we have it mapped out where everyone's going, so that stuff will go into that room. We have lots of open space in the Franklin right now to accommodate during the school year. But then once school's out, we'll make sure that stuff is in the correct room.
You already have the rooms assigned, basically?
Yes.
Okay.
I assume the staff is well informed as.
We've been keeping them up to date. Last week, we brought them all boxes and tape, and I gave them a schedule of stuff that needs to be moved. Now during the school year, there's stuff that'll be moved. Most of the desks at the Roosevelt, for instance, we're gonna be moving to the Franklin, because we don't have, currently that's a K-4 building, so we don't have 5 and 6 desks at the Franklin. So all the 5 and 6 desks are coming from the Roosevelt. There are a pile of desks that we aren't going to use. We're gonna try to sell them. After, we'll just get them out and try to sell them. And then it's papers and stuff that teachers are gonna be responsible for boxing themselves.
So the desks from Gilbert will also go.
Days.
Is that done?
You're a dreamer if you think you're gonna get that cleaned out in 4 days.
It won't be just that 4 days. I mean, we're lots of moving ahead of time, but it will be those 4 days. And we're gonna have to, well, and I talked about it, we're gonna have to hire some older high school, college age kids for a few days to let all move.
Casual. Yep.
Yeah.
4 days to move out, it takes them a month, you wait to do the. This doesn't seem right.
We'll get her, Tom.
Get to it too, Jeff.
Take it. Someone else had one?
I just think you'll lose some of the desks. So when the Gilbert campus closes, some of those desks from there will go over to help with the Franklin, correct?
Yes, but actually not a whole lot of them because the high school is pretty full of desks right now.
Okay.
So most of those we'll try to repurpose somewhere else.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions on the Roosevelt demo? So as far as what you're going to be seeing coming up here, gotta switch screens here. There is bidding is going to go out December 16th, and then board approval will be on January 10th for the demo bids on the Roosevelt. Okay. The next one. Gilbert Buildings update. So we had a meeting with Facilities Committee meeting, must have been last week, with the question of what are the next steps for the Gilbert building. Obviously, just to recap a little bit, we have been in discussion with the city of Gilbert. The city of Gilbert has done some studying. They hired a consultant to come in. They did a community survey. The survey came back pretty resounding that the community was not interested in the city buying that building. However, we did give the city of Gilbert until January 1st to make a decision because they have first right to purchase that building. So, but in the meantime, we did meet the other day and decided to list that property now rather than wait. And I just wanted to share, I got a map in front of you here. It's of the Gilbert campus, and that's the one with the yellow lettering on it. I just wanted to share a little bit. There are many parts to that campus. We didn't talk about this in that meeting, but I did have a conversation with Noel about possibly splitting that sale up. And there's two options. We can just say the whole thing is for sale, or we can try to sell, like, for instance, there's a vacant city block that the old elementary used to sit on across the street. There's where it says lot 4 parking. At some point, the district must have purchased a few houses and made a parking lot there. There's the football field, tennis courts. Of course, there's a school lot as well. There is in the corner there, lot 3 parking, but that one is actually attached to the school. So one of the reasons that I'm suggesting that we split it up a little bit is, for whatever reason, the old Gilbert district did a nice job of keeping up with their plats. This stuff is, what I have circled here is actually platted that way. They're separate lots right now. So we wouldn't have to hire somebody to come in and separate those. We wouldn't have to have them surveyed. There's good solid land descriptions on all of those. So I think personally this makes sense, but I mean, if you tell me that you just want to put us for sale, we can do that too. I just think it'd be easier maybe to get some of these parts off in here that way.
I do believe that was a recommendation, is to put it up for sale as parcels, basically.
Okay. And that,
along, and I want to just piggyback onto that. The Virginia district, the original Virginia district has all kinds of properties that are also going to be going up for sale. Am I correct in that statement, Director Reardon?
they are, one of the things, and I'll get to that in a little bit, but just as a preview, we are gonna need a lot of those lots for, while we're building the elementary, because they have to have laydown area. So that one's gonna be a little bit into the future.
Okay.
Any thoughts on that? I mean, do you want me to just list the whole thing as one, or you want?
I'm going to say I have a real estate background and I think splitting it up makes sense. And I think it's probably I think it's a better way to go than keeping it as one. That's just my perspective.
The only way I would consider selling it all at once if it was a sweeten the offer to get somebody to buy the school, because, we don't want, ideally you don't want to pay to take that down. So if it sweetened it up to say, we'll give you all the land to take the whole works to a prospective buyer, then that's the way I would go. But I could see where some of these might be a little more marketable on their own.
Yeah, 4 and 5.
Are we gonna do like an RFP for a realtor
I did
or?
that, and I didn't get any response. I sent them to all the range ones. I didn't send it past the range.
Can you advertise it in like a, I don't know, like a statewide,
MLS?
yeah.
It was in the paper, but I also personally sent the RFP to all of the range realtors.
I think it would be better to maybe call each broker and just talk to the broker. I think you'd get a better feedback and better help. I mean, I actually received what you sent and I don't feel like it was very clear, perhaps.
I can do anything. I mean, it's, I know the feedback that I got from some of the realtors that I know is they aren't real excited listing a 100-year-old school.
I think they'd be more excited if it was parcels like that.
They would be interested in some of those parcels, but the school itself is a tough sell. Particularly the Evelyn ones with the agreement on it. Anyway.
Now, what would be the recommendation then? I mean, as far as just list them, and I mean, you had some pretty good insight on real estate.
I definitely think parceling is the way to go. You might have an investor that wants the whole thing, but that's probably rare, and at that point, somebody could still buy the whole lot. So, it just seems to make sense. And I really would just call and talk to or send another email just to specific brokers, not necessarily all agents.
But I do think we kind of have to be careful about that so it doesn't have a look of impropriety.
As far as what do you mean?
Calling specific brokers and then not calling other ones.
No, I just mean call the brokers, not the agents. The brokers are the ones that own the company. So
Right.
you call the broker of Edina Realty, Culvert Realty, up north, whatever. They're the ones that could potentially give the listing to their agents. But that's how they would field it and get more, there's a lot of realtors out there that are inexperienced too. So the brokers are the ones that would have all the experience. If that makes sense.
You guys think?
What are you looking for from us?
Just, do you want me to
Parcel,
put it up for sale as the entire thing, or do you want me to parcel it out into 4 chunks?
I think parcel it, but then also include in the information that we would consider, selling it all as one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when the committee met,
In a way, as long as.
I mean,
What's the plan that they weren't gonna just,
Well, we're not locked into the same requirements in Gilbert as we are in Evelyn.
when the committee met, we just said, put it up for sale, list it. We didn't really have a discussion over parceling it up.
No.
So-
And that's why it was something I thought about afterwards, so I just thought I'd throw it out there tonight.
So I
It's
guess,
easy to do. You can attach it all together and sell it all together anyway. So it's really not,
Yeah.
All right. I'm good. Update on the manual arts book. So not every item on the agenda can be rosy. So of course, you know, from the last time I talked, we are in the middle of a environmental assessment worksheet process. I just want to add that that is not the responsibility of the school. I have been involved. I've been helping the city out, writing that thing and getting it through the proper channels. It was sitting, the city of Evelyn hired a consultant to work through the process on their behalf, because they weren't real sure what they're supposed to do. This isn't something they've done before, which is understandable. We have Nathan, what's Nathan's last name, from Ratworth and Rose, working for us. They hashed out what we thought was a deal. The consultant for the city called me over to their office about 3 weeks ago, and we went through some other details, and he promised me that this was all going to be resolved. And right now it's waiting for the city of Evelyn Council to approve. So it has not been published for 30 days like it should be. It's waiting for approval in the city. It's done. It's disappointing that it's still not approved, but like I said, I mean, we're innocent bystanders in that process, unfortunately. And the city is, I'm not trying to criticize, I mean, they're being overly cautious because they don't want somebody coming back and questioning them either. So they want to make sure all the I's and T's are crossed, and it's just frustrating for us because we have some demo deadlines that we need to meet so that we don't get price increases. So I will keep you appraised as soon as that thing is published in the Minnesota Monitor and see how it goes.
I guess a couple questions in that regard is, I mean, does the city have to act on it? And are they scheduled to act on it or giving us any indication on when they plan to? And if they do by that time, when would be the earliest it would be able to be published?
I believe their council meetings are second and fourth Tuesday. And Jackie told me, I just talked to her yesterday, or not yesterday, but Friday, and she told me that it was going to be on the next agenda. She wanted this cleared out as well. The Minnesota Monitor gets published once a month, so it would be in the January 1st if they got it done. No.
So you could still meet the January deadline if they act on it tomorrow.
In theory, but I'm not holding my breath anymore.
So what does that do to the demo bid then if you keep pushing it out? I mean, how much of an increase are you looking
It
at?
expires at some point, and this point would be June 3rd or January 3rd. And if the contractor is generous, they would extend that good faith, or they could tell us we have to rebid it.
This is a little bit frustrating that the city didn't act on it sooner. It puts us in a bind and it really kills us with the bids.
I agree. But that's where we're at. I wish I had better news for you on that one.
And it's, I mean, obviously Kraus is involved, with the demo contract, and have they gotten an indication from the low bidder back whenever it was that they'd be willing to honor that price for?
The original expiration was November 4th, and they continued to honor that price. So hopefully they give us 30 more days.
And they should want to play ball. That's not the last building we have to take down. So we could be a good customer of theirs, so.
Any other questions on that one?
Thanks.
Okay, I got let's see, 735, other Evelyn buildings updates. So the other thing that we talked about at that committee meeting was looking at the sale of the Evelyn properties. I did include a map. This is the other map. remaining properties and there's, I broke it up into on the north half of the property. There's Franklin Elementary and the new gym and the old high school portion. And then there's a couple smaller squares off to the left, and one of them is the old bus garage, and one of them is the Morton building that holds some buses as well. So just so you know, the two smaller squares, at this time, we don't have plans to demo them or not even use them anymore. We do continue to have a need for, there's gas tanks in the old one. We continue to use those because there is nowhere in Evelyn to buy diesel right now. That could change in the near future, but as of this minute, we have to keep that. And then the steel shed on the side of that, we currently hold 6 buses in there until we get some resolution on what we're going to do with buses in the future. And there are ideas floating around out there that I'm sure we'll bring to you after a bit when they get a little more refined. But at the moment, those are staying. Those are 2 very sellable properties. I think we will not have problem getting rid of either one of those because there's garage doors on them. The other 3 that I have parceled off there, though, it is a complicated mess because the old Evelyn district did not, that whole block was never platted and there is no legal description for it. So that's going to cost some money to accomplish this. It's going to cost some money just to sell it as it is as a whole. And I do have, right now I have Benchmark Engineering working on sorting out that mess. There has never been in the history of that piece of property a legal description of it. The school district has owned it since the town was first started out, so something new for them. They haven't had to deal with that before. So. But they are working on that now. They also did under the green junior high building that is no longer there. I had Benchmark come in and draw a legal description for that. Don Cole and Associates are currently doing an appraisal on that. And she said that she should be done shortly, so that one will go up for sale real soon as well, based on what she comes up with. Thoughts or questions on that?
Has the city ever talked about the football and baseball and that they're interested in that? That's still always been up in the air? Have they expressed interest?
Yes, it's being talked about by some of the council members, and some of them don't want anything to do with it. So we're gonna have to give them a drop dead date like we did Gilbert, and just, are you gonna do this or you're not? So we can figure out what we're gonna do then. They also, just so you know, they also came, they being the city council, asked me to do a tour through the Franklin and the new gym area because they have expressed some interest in that as well.
The city of Evelyn has.
City of Evelyn.
They're interested in the Franklin and the old gym, or what are they interested in?
The new gym complex that's attached to the Franklin.
And the Franklin itself? Okay.
Pretty much a red box.
Yeah.
Yep. Whether or not that pans out, who knows, but I'm just saying they came for a bit. So anyway, this will be an ongoing project. I just wanted to update you on that. Next, I'm going to talk about sale of uniforms. So a couple months ago, I put hockey uniforms up on an auction site, advertised out of our social media and website. We did very well. Hockey uniforms did. We made about $10,000 on that sale. We did have a bunch of them that didn't sell, and I currently have those on an auction, the ones that are left over. And I also have football and baseball, and honestly, it's not going that well either. We're not selling a lot of them. I don't know if I got my starting price too high or nobody's that interested or whatever the thing is. I'll enough to relist those. I'll drop the price again and put those back up. I have volleyball in the can waiting to hit send once these ones are done. So we'll see how it goes. If all else fails, I think I'm going to put everything on a table this summer and just trying to sell it outright like that.
Well, you're spending a lot of time on that. If it's not selling,
If that's selling, give it away.
I'm in these auctions and it's not really paying for itself.
no.
I mean, between taking pictures and doing all the individual listings, I probably have 40 to 50 of my hours into it's not paying the bill. I'd have to rethink that. Sale of other unneeded items. These will be ongoing throughout the year. I'm gonna have one in January, and it's probably gonna be in that back room where the school used to be. I'm gonna put out a bunch of stuff that we've been collecting that we're not using right now. We'll have another one in the Roosevelt in early May, once we identify stuff that we don't need for that last month. I'll put it in the gym and we'll get a bunch of stuff that way. And then we'll have another one after the fact, stuff that we end up moving out but not using in the Roosevelt. That'll probably be up here as well. And then I'm gonna do a big one, Gilbert, to close that out in July. As far as the Gilbert goes then, we are gonna list, obviously, we'll get that listed one way or the other here. But if that doesn't pan out by June, we're gonna start looking at other options and construction, or what we like to call them, normal world demo. We need to get some of that stuff down, is just because of I think that's it for me.
It is.
Questions?
Thanks,
Thank
Jeff.
you.
Thanks, Jeff.
But, sorry.
Agenda item 7.4 is our superintendent.
Thank you, members of the school board. And don't worry, Orthopedic Associates, you're on next. You're coming. You're on deck, as they say. A couple things we'll update the board on. One is COVID numbers. Today, we have 33 COVID cases between staff and students in the district that we know about. The ones who have reported that comparison. And then I think the previous time that I'd reported it was 50, 51. So what's happening is our COVID cases are kind of ping-ponging back and forth between 30 and 50, somewhere in there. And it kind of varies which building. Sometimes it's this building, sometimes it's that building. Today it was Virginia High School. That's where we have more of our COVID cases in the district in comparison with Gilbert High School that had 2. Now, 2 weeks from now, that could completely reverse. But that's what's happening right now, today, the COVID cases. And as you've probably seen the data, St. Louis County always uses that per 100,000. We're up above 100 again. So the numbers do not appear to be dropping, the COVID cases for central St. Louis County where we are at. So that's where we are on the COVID cases. Any questions from the board on COVID numbers where we're at right now? Second thing up, just want to update the board and then you can tell me which way you want to go on this one. Strategic planning process. It may seem right now, and I know you're hearing from a lot of people that we have a lot of things up in the air, a lot of change coming in the way that some people might be saying, why would you even think about doing strategic planning right now? As I'm thinking about this and reflecting about it, and I've done a lot of thinking about this actually might be a really good time. It's counterintuitive, but we already have a number of things that already are moving forward quickly. And so typically, what is strategic planning? There's 2 versions of strategic planning. On my left hand, what many organizations do, you take what you're doing and you try and do it better. So whatever you're doing, you just try and do it better and better and better. The other way of strategic planning is you look to where you want the organization to be. It's something you're not really doing right now. It might not be. It's where you want the organization to go. So your whole strategic plan focuses on where you want to go. You move the system to where you want everything to go. I'm going to suggest that that is the type of strategic planning we should be doing. The version of where we really want to go, not trying to make our current systems better. We're going to do that anyway through normal organization planning.
Excuse me, sorry.
There's two different ways this could go. I'm going to suggest for our purposes, the more useful way is to look at where we want the whole organization to go and move the system that way. Now, fundamentally, there's a larger question that you need to tell me what you want to do. Normally at this time, districts would hire an outside person to run the strategic planning process. A lot of times they do that because they're worried they want someone to appear neutral. And so you'll pay anywhere from 10 to 40,000 to bring in a consultant to run your strategic planning process. And when I say what's the time frame we're talking about, probably not starting anything till February, March, April, somewhere in that time. But we have to start thinking about it and setting it up for it. So you could hire a consultant, or you could tell me,
I agree. My only consideration or thought would be workload. And are you comfortable with that?
my answer to that would be, I'm going to get involved no matter what you decide to do. So I'm going to be involved, whether you bring in a consultant or not, because they're not going to really know some of the details on how things happen and why certain things are the way they are. I'm not overly concerned about that. And I know that's not what I'm supposed to say. It'll be okay. Let's put it this way. It'll be okay.
Well, where would you find a consultant that was know anything about the direction we're going in right now with the academy?
Well, that's a little bit of a danger you have, but on the other hand, they're starting with a clean slate. So if you want someone completely unbiased or you're worried about that, then you could do that. But typically you send up RFPs and proposals and then you see what you get.
Well, we haven't had you make any rivers or anything for us lately. That'd be interesting to get back into.
No, you've been deprived of one of my cartoon-like drawings for a while. Yes, that is true.
And I'll make a motion that if Noel does it, there'll be no drawings.
I want for that. Come on.
Right in the last one.
Yeah, they're pretty good though.
Yeah.
In favor you're doing it, Noel.
Oh, yeah, I'd entertain a motion to have Noel go ahead with the strategic planning.
Are you making that motion or just entertaining it?
I'll make the motion. Okay.
Motion and support. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Congratulations,
You
Noel.
know what you want me to do? I'm gonna stand up here to introduce the next.
Okay, we'll go ahead and introduce.
We have Orthopedic Associates and we'll have these fine folk come up and self-introduce themselves. But I want to set the framework of this. You're about to hear a proposal to do something very unusual. I freely admit that. This is coming from, we are designing and building a high school career academy. This is not a normal high school. So one of the things we want to do is have our kids have direct contact with somebody who actually is in the field. So whether you want to be a carpenter, have some contact with someone who's in the building and trades. You want to be an accountant, have some contact with an accountant. Because we know that we want kids to make better decisions when they leave our high school. We're not training them for a single career, but we want them to make smarter decisions as far as what school they go to. So in order to do that, they really need to have contact with people out in the real world with what they do. And when you look at the numbers data on where the jobs are, we hear about mining, and mining is very important up here. The real future jobs are in healthcare. That's over half of the people up here, based upon the statistics that I'm looking at, published for Northeast Minnesota in this specific area. Half of all the future jobs right now are in healthcare. That's the big driver. So I talked to a number of healthcare organizations in the area, the larger ones, and I want you to know I sat down at the table right across from them, talked about what we were thinking about, asked them, are you interested? I believe we will have some great relationships and great things happening with some of these healthcare providers. But right now, you're going to hear a really interesting proposal. And let me say this, this is unique. I think it's worth thinking about. I'm going to suggest to the board that you listen to their proposal and that you think about it and that we revisit it in January, and then you let us know what you're thinking about. This does involve using probably 25% of this building, about 6,000-ish square feet. As of this minute, we do not have a school need for those 6,000 square feet. I do not know of, am not aware of even any future reason that would cause us to need those 6,000 square feet. So you have to kind of think differently, a little bit out of the box. I believe if the board wants to do this, I believe we could do this. So Orthopedic Associates, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, my name is Robin Hendricks. I'm an orthopedic surgeon and Orthopedic Associates in Duluth. Right up with me, Dr. Harms, and our practice manager, Vanya Rickmeyer. I'll just give you a little background. I grew up in Virginia, graduated from high school in 1982 in Virginia, went to UMD for college, University of Minnesota for medical school and orthopedic residency, joined the practice at OA 25 years ago. Back then, OA was a little bit smaller than it is now, but the commitment to outreach was strong. And what that means is we had outlying clinics in different small towns in northern Minnesota that we'd bring orthopedic care to. We'd come where the patients were rather than patients driving to Duluth to get their orthopedic care. That commitment is just as strong now as it was back then. I started an outreach office in Virginia in 1998. I've been coming up here, seeing patients 1 to 2 times a week, and sometimes with surgical services offered locally at the Virginia Hospital. We have grown since then. We have outreach clinics two in Mountain Iron and in Hibbing and elsewhere. The interesting opportunity here in our proposal is that we want to continue with our outreach program. If you're talking about strategy and growth and making things better and improving, the proposal is a joint venture between Orthopedic Associates Duluth and Rockridge Public Schools. And that has never been done before, as far as I know, a joint venture between a public school system and a private orthopedic group. But I think there's benefits. I know there's strong opportunity on both sides. For Rock Ridge, just our clinic space on campus allows easy access for the students to come and work with us following their career pathways. We offer at least 15 career pathways in one outpatient clinic setting. That starts with the physician pathway, observing and learning from physicians in the office with direct patient care. Physicians' assistants, their pathway, their career opportunity. Nurse practitioners, RNs, MAs, we have occupational therapists we employ, physical therapists, athletic trainers, X-ray technologists, MRI technologists, and that's just the clinical side of the practice in the office. We have the whole business office side as well with office administration, billing, coding, secretarial work, all those opportunities too. And then there's another opportunity, I think, too, and that's the surgical side. So the members, the partners of OA own 2 outpatient surgery centers in Duluth. We own and operate them. It seems to me there's also an opportunity for career pathway options for kids, but they have to go to Duluth, not walk across the parking lot, but there'd be options for them to see the surgical side too. Physicians performing surgery, nurses taking care of patients in the operating room and post-operatively, anesthesia opportunities of observing anesthesiologists, administered spinal and general anesthetics, the surgical techs and assistants. We've got resource management positions down there. They're very busy because in an orthopedic outpatient surgery center, we've got a lot of inventory. A total knee, total shoulder, total hip implants, plates, screws, all sorts of different specialty hardware and the instruments that go along with that. So there's a interesting subset of career pathway there too. From our side, I think the benefit is to have nice, affordable clinic space under one roof. Right now, like I said, we've got 3 clinics up here. The one at Virginia Hospital, we have one at Laurentia Medical Clinic, and one at Fairview. And so to put the practice together, those 3 physicians in one space, I think would be a huge benefit for us and our patients. We look at the cost. So we spend about $5,000 a month with those 3 facilities collectively. We estimate our build outs to be somewhere between $1 and $1.5 million in this 6,000 square foot space. Amortize that over 20 years, and it's right in that ballpark. It's about $6,000 per month for the 20 years. So it makes it affordable. It's right in the ballpark. The other interesting thing I was thinking about on the way up here, there's another win-win example, and that is the athletic side of the high school. So you got, kids playing sports, varsity, JV. We employ athletic trainers to be at those events, every varsity game and a lot of the JV games. They're the first point of contact with the injured student. They have direct access to us. I swear they have us on speed dial. They call us all the time. And but that's great because they assess the patient, and if that patient needs to be seen emergently, they come down to Duluth or locally in the emergency room. If they can wait to the next day, a follow-up the next day is possible. We have all the options available. So that is a resource that is sort of unique in today's healthcare environment. I mean, think of corporate medicine. I tried to get a rheumatology appointment for a patient. It's a 6-month wait. It's unheard of this day and age to get a patient in the next day. So I think that's quite a service opportunity. Then for us, we get to take care of the injured kids. That's what we do. We try to fix people. So that's the win for us. So that's how we've approached it. It's very unique. Again, I don't think it's ever been done. Of course, a career academy high school is very unique to the United States, and that's kind of exciting time here. So any questions or comments?
I kind of have a hard time believing that that you're standing here before us, giving us this proposal. I mean, this is something that we kind of, our wildest dreams back when we started talking about career academies. And to now have this proposal to look at and have you all standing here, it just is so exciting. And the opportunities that our kids are going to have, if we're able to make this work, are just, again, beyond my wildest dreams.
I think also the one thing that we were talking about in the committee before, OA is large enough to be able to provide all of these different career paths, the whole list there. But we're small enough to have the direction from the school board because this is new for everybody. And so as you evolve in this career academy and the school board wants to go this way, OA can shift to go this way. A lot of big systems can't do that. I think also we have a really good opportunity to show kids that healthcare doesn't mean you're touching a patient. Healthcare is so many other things. And again, I think we have the ability to do that because we have all of those different scopes of practice and different positions in our company. And I was thinking about this, I think John asked when we were here, well, what kind of things would you do with the kids? And the first thing you think of is, well, they'd shadow the doc. So we would have code of conduct, we'd be asking permission for patients. We have people shadowing right now. But there's all these other things we could do with those kids. And when we have a clinic and the docs aren't there, we can have kids come in and role play. What does it look like to put a cast on somebody? We have a whole practice management side to our electronic medical record. So now that student is in an EMR, putting data in, just to give that real hands-on of what it would look like. We could have what would be like to be an HR director for healthcare. Let's talk about the interview process. I mean, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger every time we think about it. And we can deliver on that. We can. We do some of it now in Hibbing.
We do, yeah. Sam Harms, I work most of our Hibbing office that you see on the screen there. And I'm here because we kind of did a similar venture there. We're kind of scattered amongst various clinics and built our own facility here and incorporated the athletic training piece to it and helped take care of the athletes in Hibbing Community College and some of the small neighboring communities. And you'd think they all want to shadow me and watch me follow them, but that's not what it's been thus far. We've had kids want to come in and follow the athletic trainers. One today was a surgical tech, works in an OR. She's thinking about going back to physician assistant school. She wanted to shadow my physician assistant today. So she came in, called, we arranged it, and shadowed him all day, and she's coming back next week. So we're flexible that way. It's been a great opportunity for us so far and been popular to move forward with that venture. I think it'd be the same here.
I wish we didn't have masks on because then they could see some of us smiling because I think this is a unique and a great opportunity for us.
And the committee did meet, the Buildings and Ground Committee, such as Tim, Tom, and John all met. And we heard this presentation, and it was our recommendation that we would bring this to the board to consider it, to approve it, because it was a fine opportunity for our school district being a career academy.
I just have a question. I think it's an amazing opportunity. It really is super cool. I'm just like schematically, how would that work? Like who would oversee the kids? And I guess I don't understand that. I mean, obviously you're busy, you're a physician, you have your work. So who's like managing it, or what do you foresee?
Well, it's certainly be a work in progress. We talked about the committee meeting. It sort of reminds me of medical training, where you go down to the university and there's a team, there's the medical students, there's the intern, there's a resident, there's a chief resident, there's a staff physician. So there's this whole tier of educational levels. And Noelle's got, experience with the pathways of maybe non-medical fields, but I kind of see it similar to medical training. And so we still do that now. Dr. Harms was talking about a shadowing student, whether they're shadowing physicians or they're shadowing PAs or OTs or PTs. It's being you is that it maybe needs to be modified a little bit but I'm open to hear all recommendations on how that might flow, but we, things are busy, but that's part of the experience too, of seeing what that career is like, but still getting an education.
And to help answer that question from the school's point of view, this is one reason why we hired someone like Willie Speltz to work with businesses. Well, he took over for Michelle Ufford. So on the school end of it, we'd be talking to OA in this case, and we would work on schedules. When does it work out? When does it doesn't? Because we really want to reinvent high school and change the way high school works. So that means different job roles, duties, and I think it'd be kind of fun talking about how we could make this work for the kids on the range. Because it would be rough. It would be hard, a lot of work. I'm not going to lie to the board, but we would have to talk continuously and work because they need to run a business and we need to provide experiences for our kids. That's kind of where it might be a win-win.
And I'm sure I would be front and center in getting this off the ground. I want to be front and center. It's a great opportunity. And then we have a supervisor right now in Hibbing, we would maybe expand her role a little bit. If we are up here seeing patients every day, we would maybe hire somebody. We'd be open to that. And then it's part of my job to go to the board of OA and keep everybody updated and rowing in the same direction.
So you'd keep your Hibbing location and you'd consolidate the Laurentian and other location in Virginia?
Yeah, that's exactly right. These 3 Virginia locations would come to this place.
So there's 3 in Virginia?
Fairfield, Laurentian, and then the Medical Arts Building in Virginia.
Okay. I was thinking Hibbing when I heard Fairview. I'm a little behind the times and all stuff that.
And myself, I can see this as being a great experience for the teaching staff. So you're looking at somebody that's teaching in the healthcare end of it and field, and then you also have the business teacher that she was talking about going in and coding and accounting and that. So this would be something that they've really never done, and it would open up a lot for us.
Any other questions or comments? And we're going to wait on approving something and.
The board can do whatever you want to do. You can wait on it for a month. Once you decide one way or the other, then we just need to start figuring out some of the details of it and how it would work. So you can either wait, or if you feel confident, you know what you're going to do, you could.
As good as this opportunity sounds, it's just learning on the fly here and not having had the opportunity to sit in the committee and hear about what we were about to see. I personally don't think I'd be ready to vote on anything tonight.
That sounds fair. Wait a month. Okay.
We won't push it then, Matt.
Already tonight, Matt.
Bye, Tom.
See, I'm just an obstructionist.
That's it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Your colleague did a great job on my wife's hip.
That's what the holdup is.
Sorry we made you wait.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, agenda item 8.2 is to consider approval of the following change in staffing and class offering. This is again, because Jason Ness, do you want to?
Yes, this one I probably need to.
And I just wanted to note that it says that Stacy Awney is a 6th grade class teacher. She actually teaches STEAM. Not necessarily.
No, only, right?
It's a misprint. It's really it's not a 6th grade class. It's really it's part of the rotation for CS. It's really a STEM classroom. And so here's what's happened. Sometimes you've done the budget. We place the people where we want them to be for the year. and then sometimes something changes. We've had something change in organizations. Sometimes people leave, sometimes people come. And I believe it's prudent anytime an organization has changes, you always relook at how things are. Is there a better way to do things? And so we had an employee, Jason S., who resigned. He got a job at another location. Great for him, left on good terms. He just took a different job. And so in thinking about the position he was doing and talking with the principal and the admin group, the district probably, well, not probably, does have a higher need for a curriculum tech integration individual. Last year, we did post this position. We did interview for this position. Stacy was the one who was recommended for the position. She did work in that role for a year. And then for various reasons, we pulled her back into the classroom, and she's been teaching the STEM this year. That has not diminished the need for someone to work in that curriculum tech position. What that position does in brief is that what we've done is we've given 2,600 kids iPads, essentially. Not so much in K1, 2, but they're there. We have 180 staff members plus who have iPads. They need to know how to use them effectively. This is where that curriculum tech position comes into play. We have one individual right now in the district, Darren Kramer, who's doing that position. It was somebody from the old Virginia district that already existed. He's continuing in that role. He's originally was just at Parkview, but he's now going all over the district, trying to help out because we're spread thin out there. Last time I talked to Bill Grayson, we're about 200 tickets behind in filling out requests for technology. And so this position is not for, I turned on my machine and it won't work. How do I save a file? That's not what this position is for. Other people can help and do that. This position would be working with teachers so they can correctly use the apps, correctly use the programs, so that it's not all simple, basic stuff, fill in the blank. And a lot of times that's what happens all over the United States. Kids get technologies, and then all it is it just replaces the paper and pencil. What's the purpose? So we want to make sure when kids are using technology that it's at a high level. It's not simply fill in the blank. It's not simply just a quiz game show. There's way more you can do with technology learning, and that's the way learning is going. Whether we like it or not, our kids are going to have these skills. And no, Snapchat is not an advanced technology skill. Nor is Instagram. Those are really simple. I'm not even talking about those. I'm talking about way higher level. So kids are putting reports together, working collaboratively, creating wikis and working with other kids. And so it makes sense. This is, when I think about the district as a whole, this is the one big hole that we probably really need someone in this role. So because Stacy did, we already posted it. She interviewed for it. She offered the job, and then we had to pull her out of that role into another one. I think it makes sense that she's the one, if the board says yes, to move her into this role. Now, I freely admit that what I'm about to describe, many times we would just do this behind the scenes, because this is why you hire us and the principals to run the day-to-day operation of the district. However, because I know there's people concerned about who's doing what, why are we doing this, that's why we're bringing it here. So it's full transparency. There's no hidden motive. There's nothing that is secret going on behind the scenes. And so that's why I'm coming here with it. What would happen is, if you said yes, Stacy would take the curriculum tech integration and it would be district-wide. Her classroom would be picked up. We have an online course it's being taught by Brad. There's only 5 kids in that course. It's a combined 3rd and 4th grade online course. We thought we would have more kids earlier in the year. We didn't. It's actually gone down from the start of the school year. There's only 5 kids in that course. So what the proposal is, we will end that course. There is a 5th and 6th grade online course that keeps going. That one's good. The numbers are good there. But it's the 3rd and 4th grade one that would stop. And then we'd move Brad into the position where Stacy used to be. So he would then teach the STEM courses. The upshot of this is that it's budget neutral. It's not costing you any money. I know you have some individuals who probably are saying, hire another teacher. And frankly, my recommendation, I know that intuitively makes sense, but you don't have the money to hire another teacher unless you're willing to go into the red. We don't have COVID dollars yet. We know they're coming, but they're not here. So you can't use those COVID dollars because they're not here. I would never recommend you spend money that you don't have, even though we know it's coming. So when I talked to the principal group, talked to the admin group, it made sense to them. So we're bringing it forward to the school board for you to tell us, are you okay with this? Do you want us to move forward with this, or would you like us not to?
Any questions, or is there a motion?
I just have a question. What will happen to the 5 students enrolled in the online course, or I guess?
Excellent question. So we would want to give them a lot of advance notice. So they don't get secondhand, so they would have time. We would not actually do this, make the switch until January 3rd after the holidays. So parents would then have a decision. They could send their kid to school, physical school, or they could look for a different online or a different way to provide education for their kids. So this would give them some time to look for a different provider. We, of course, would hope they would show up in the physical buildings, but it might break either way. Some you might get, some you might not get.
And this finance committee looked at this already too?
The personnel committee.
Or personnel, I'm sorry, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And because it was budget neutral, more or less, I guess we just went with the one committee.
Okay.
Because if we were going to do this, in fairness to the parents who are online, so they would have some time to look elsewhere, think about their options.
I'll make a motion that we approve the staff changes that Noel has outlined.
Support.
There's a motion by Director Reardon, support by Director Tamero. Any further discussion?
Well, because we are actually gaining from this because we're not replacing Jason's wage.
You are not are you talking from a money point of view? From a money point of view, you're kind of breaking even. It's not costing, but yes, we're just simply shifting district dollars around. If some parents leave the district of those 5 kids, you're losing state dollars with them. But you're not, as the total sum goes, you're not losing any revenue.
I think Tom's question is,
It's about, the total.
we aren't paying Jason.
Oh, do you have?
That was the question.
He's already left. He's resigned.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's resigned.
And we had budgeted for his.
Yep, the dollars are there, yes. So you're simply using those dollars for a different purpose.
Who's doing the classes right now, or what, since he's gone? I guess I'm confused on that.
They're splitting up all the duties between the other. Bill Bryson is handling some of it. Sierra is doing some of it also. Mike Hoke is doing some of it. Darren Kramer is doing some of it, but they can't keep up. They're 200 behind tickets. A ticket is when a teacher says, hey, I need help. They call it a ticket.
Any additional discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 8.3, consider request from Virginia Historical Society for artwork and artifacts held in the Roosevelt Elementary School to be donated to the Virginia Area Historical Society. Is there a motion either way?
Make a motion.
I will support that, and I'll just make the note that my brother is on that committee. I will be voting yes, even though I have no monetary value to this decision.
Thank you for the disclosure. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 8.4, consider approval of proposed non-negotiated rates of pay.
I will move on that. Or do you want to talk about that?
Only if you want me to talk about it.
Making a motion, Bill?
Yes, I did.
I'll support it.
A motion by Director Addy, support by Director Tamero. Any further discussion?
But
I'd just comment that we did talk about this in the budget committee, and it does make sense that they have an awful hard time finding these people.
I'll
Dr. Personnel as well. These people are making less than what they pay at McDonald's, so.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. 8.5 is consider a resolution establishing combined polling places for school district elections not held on the day of a statewide election.
Make a motion.
Motion by Director Reardon, support by Director Tamero. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. 8.6 is consider casting votes for the MREA 2022 Board of Directors election for the North Zone. And we have a ballot. I don't know if anyone wants to make a motion to act on this or.
Anybody local?
For administrator, there's one, Christy Berlin from St. Louis County, Mountain Iron Buell. And then school board rep, there's Mary Kay Jacobson from Greenway. Otherwise, that's it. So do you want to vote for Christy Berlin for the administrator for a 4-year term and Mary Kay Jacobson for Greenway? And then the teacher rep, there's only one on the ballot.
Motion to.
Motion by Director Reardon. Is there a second?
I'll support.
Second by Addy. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Let me mark those. And then agenda item 8.7 is considered casting votes for the Rams Executive Board election. And I would note for the two-year term, we have to vote for 11. The only one that's not necessarily local, but still in the Rams district is the school board member from ISD 166, which is Cook County. And then the only one up for the 2-year term is Richard Aldrich, who's a superintendent at Hibbing. So I don't know if, again, we have to vote for 11 and there's 12. If we just want to vote for everyone except the one who's kind of furthest away, or how you guys want to do that.
So they have 11 running for 10 posts, or what is that?
12 people running for 11 spots,
On the
2-year term.
2-year term, and then one superintendent running for one position?
Yes.
It says you must vote for 11.
So we'd vote for all except for
One from Cook.
Dan Shirley.
That's, if you want to make a motion,
I'm fine with that. I'll make a motion.
is there support?
I'll support it.
Any discussion?
That was really enthusiastic.
Yeah. It's kind of an odd way to,
Been pretty
you
kind.
know,
Jump in so quickly, Matt.
it's kind of odd that we, you know, we're voting for 11 people collectively, all for the same person. You know what I'm saying? I mean, all for,
Yeah.
you know,
We've got a big board at Rams.
yeah.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Agenda item 8.8, consider approval of Tim Reardon as a nomination for District 11 MSBA Director.
So moved.
I'll support.
Motion by Tamaro, support by Addie. Any discussion?
I just would have had a lot more enthusiasm for that.
Yeah.
That's because I'll be gone.
When you're gone.
Yeah, see, I knew that was
The
it.
reasons don't matter, Tim.
I'm only be gone if I get this post on Sunday, so you guys don't win out much.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Extension, thank you.
Okay.
9.
Agenda item 9 is policies. 9.1 lists the policies that have to be reviewed annually, and this is the second of three readings. I would entertain a motion to acknowledge the second of the 3 readings for policy 410, 414, 415, 506, 514, 522, 616, and 806.
So moved. Support.
Motion by Director Schoberg, support by Director Addy. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. And again, the second of 3 readings, which is just noting federal and state statute changes, would be, I would entertain a motion to acknowledge the second of 3 readings for the following policies: 102, 406, 413, 425, 501, 503, 507, 515, 524, and 533, or 534.
I'll move.
Support.
Motion by Director Addy, support by Director Reardon. Any discussion?
Casey, are these all done? Are all these policies, are we following MSBA?
Yes.
Yes, there was just significant, I wouldn't say significant, there was just word changes just over, I mean, they were just, instead of, I don't know how, I mean, I haven't in front of me, but there was just basically how they were describing something. Huh? Correct.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Our next regular meeting will be Monday, January 10th at the Rock Ridge Administration Building, which is formerly the Spectrum Building, which is where we are tonight. And I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Come on.
I'll move.
Motion by
Oh, no.
Director Addy.
Too scared to
No.
do I second?
Yep,
or no?
yep.
Okay, second.
Support by Director Dahl. And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion
We
passes.
have,
Scott, I totally forgot. When I ran through it on the agenda, you weren't here. Do you want to give us your update now?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
I'll give it quickly. I just snuck in there. No,
Sorry about that. I saw you come in and then.
no problem, no problem. No, I just wanted to, talk about how thankful I am to be here. As many of you know, my roots run very deep on the Iron Range. And I came back here because of the people in the community. So as Roosevelt, what we talk about is giving back. So if you've noticed on social media, Adopt a Highway. You noticed on the north side, we have some elderly families that we taking care of their yards by raking. We're giving back. For Veterans Day, we wrote handwritten letters to all of our employees who are veterans. We had all of our students whose parents are either active or retired went with me down to the Servicemen and Women's Club, and we got to meet a lot of the veterans. They even got to meet a veteran from the Korean War. We're giving back. Our 6th grade is teaching our 3rd grade how to do Schoology. So as they get up in the system, and then we're bringing back a tradition that's been lost for a little while, is we're going to be starting shoveling that north side sidewalk again. So our students are going to be giving back to the community. And the final one is that we have to have a big celebration this spring for Roosevelt. Roosevelt has been instrumental to our community, and we're going to have to say goodbye to that school in the right way. So just let you know that we're in the works of having something big to say goodbye to that building and everything it means to the city of Virginia. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You may want to coordinate that with Gilbert too.